Look, I hate social media as much as you do, but it's undeniably cheap marketing for your business. I mean, it only costs your soul. Just kidding. Or am I? The thing is, I see a lot of small businesses doing social media so wrongly that it hurts. Please save me from this pain and come learn how you should be using social media for your business. This is part 5 of my How to Start an Etsy Shop series or grow an existing one. All of the current episodes will be linked in a playlist in the description box, and I will add new ones as I post them. So I actually need to take a second to acknowledge that I first went viral on TikTok on my Etsy Tips account that's related to this one by saying that you don't need to use social media to be successful on Etsy. I don't post there anymore, but I said what I said. However, I did not mean that you should not use social media at all. Eventually, you may want to venture out or branch off from your Etsy shop, and you will need a following to bring with you. And of course, the communication building and direct contact with your customers is pretty invaluable. The first thing that you're probably wondering is which platforms to even use. If you say all of them, you are wrong. I mean, you should at least claim your business name on all of them so somebody else can't do it, but it is impossible for one person alone to consistently create good content to post on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, and YouTube, and whatever other ones are out there, because I'm a millennial going on 70, so there's some that I've never even heard of probably. I would pick one to be your main focus and no more than 2 additional ones. The ones you pick should really depend on your target audience, which we discussed how to figure out in episode 3, so go back and check that out after you watch this one. There are differences between each one that you should consider, primarily where your target audience hangs out. So if your target audience is Gen Z, obviously TikTok. If you're targeting millennials, we can't seem to let go of Instagram. Gen X is probably most likely to use Pinterest, although I would be interested to see what their target audience actually is. Because when you think of Pinterest mom, you think of a Gen Xer. And of course, if you are going for the baby boomers, they're going to be on Facebook. So you can look up these stats for yourself if you're curious, but I was not 100% sure on Pinterest age demographic, and it is definitely Gen X. And something also to consider that I just happened to glance on this webpage is that Pinterest is 77% female. So keep that in mind as well. If your target audience is men, probably not gonna post on Pinterest. And of course there are exceptions to all of those, like I'm a millennial and use pretty much all of them. Twitter is kind of going down the drain right now. It's actually like off the rails and on fire, but you can still use it. And for YouTube, I think YouTube is kind of universal. Like I think anybody could use YouTube, although it doesn't work quite the same as the other ones, but I'll explain them all in detail later on. Whichever platform or platforms you choose, it should probably be one that you are familiar with as a user, and maybe don't pick one that you have never used before at all. But something that I want to make very clear that is hard to understand, just because you use social media personally, that does not mean that you automatically know how to use it professionally. You really can't just post a catalog of your products and expect to get any sales, let alone a lot of sales. People don't like being advertised to. It's essential to build trust and rapport with your customers and not just cram your products down their throat, because they want to connect with a person, not a faceless brand. There are some nuances to each platform and how it works, and I am by no means an expert at any of them, and I'm very skeptical of anybody who says they are. But after using them for several years and seeing what works and what doesn't for myself and other Etsy sellers, I can generally say what's going to work and what doesn't. And before I even begin, this is where a lot of problems come from, I think, is you have to understand that they will all change at some point, if not very frequently. And you're going to have to adapt, just like to changes on Etsy. That's business for you. And each platform is slightly different as far as what kind of content does the best or how to format things. There are a few concepts that are the same for all of them. Number 1, you have to keep your target audience in mind. It's okay to post different kinds of content here and there, and it's actually encouraged to try new things and see if it works. But if you post something on a whim that has absolutely nothing to do with your target audience or even your products at all, it's either going to perform very badly and you're going to get sad, or that unrelated thing could take off and you go viral for something that you don't get any views or sales for your shop at all, and that was the whole point in the first place. Second of all, each platform is going to have some kind of a business or a creator account, and that's going to let you see analytics. Do not ignore those, but don't dwell on them either. They are very useful, so you can see things like what times or what days of the week your audience is most likely to be online, and that means that's the best time for you to post something new. And you can see how they react to certain kinds of content, and then really just track your progress. Third, don't ignore this either. How you set up your profile is very important. Your handle on every social media account should be your business name, spelled exactly as it is on Etsy, if at all possible. I wouldn't even make an Etsy account before you check every social media platform and domain names to make sure that that name and its exact spelling is available on all of them, but sometimes it happens. And on most platforms, your profile is searchable. Remember in a previous episode when we talked about how to describe your niche using just a few words, you're going to use those words in your bio or your About Me section in your social media. And don't forget to use a link if at all possible. Some platforms don't let you, or on TikTok you have to have so many followers, but it is very important. You can use a service like Linktree to have multiple links going at once, or just put your Etsy shop. It might be obvious, but don't advertise things that you're selling, but then not tell people how to buy them. And number 4, we still have to say this in 2023, I can't believe it, but you should use these social networks to actually network, but do not do those follow for follow or sub for sub or follow chains or whatever other crap people are trying to get you to do. Those kind of things are actually against the terms of service for pretty much any social media network. So that could get you banned, and it doesn't even work anyways. So don't do it. Because I will mention this later on in the video multiple times, but if you're doing follow for follow or sub for sub or whatever, you are getting follows from people who only want to follow from you. They are not interested in your products. They are not necessarily your target audience. And they're probably other business owners who are trying to do the same thing. So those are not the kind of people that you necessarily want to be your followers, because they are not going to interact or engage unless they want something in return. And if they're also doing that, that means that their followers are the same. So if they share your stuff, it's just going to go to more people that want followers in return. You see where I'm going? All right, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the different platforms. For handmade businesses, Instagram is probably the most popular one, so let's start there. And it's actually where I see the worst offenses as far as bad strategy. First and foremost, Instagram themselves, like the CEO, has said that photos are dead on Instagram. They are no longer a photo platform, they are a video platform. So do not post photos here, especially do not post like just one single photo. You can post, I mean like you physically can, but don't, because they don't work. Single photos get pretty much no engagement, and your followers will not see them because they don't get any engagement. They're not going to get pushed to other people. Sometimes a carousel post where you post multiple pictures in the slideshow, those will get some traction, but usually only if they are informational or instructional in some way. And if you create it in such a way that sparks some kind of curiosity and encourages people to actually swipe through. Your moneymaker on Instagram is going to be Reels and Stories. Sometimes literally, they do have a creator program. And spoiler alert for the rest of this video, but basically you're gonna have to be making videos. There's no way around it. Use the Instagram Reels to show your process, or use trending sounds to make them relatable to your ideal customers, or do a very quick how-to demonstration. Reels typically do better if they are very short, like less than 15 seconds, but you can post up to a minute and a half right now. That may change that. So with these short form video platforms like Instagram Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, attention is going to be the supreme king of everything. So you have to capture your viewers' attention fast and keep it. Don't be boring or talk slow. Cut out your pauses when you're talking. If you can make the video loop, even better. Looping is where you can't really tell where it starts and ends. And for Instagram stories, that's where you can really connect with customers and then open up like messaging, like conversations with people. And not to like, whenever somebody messages you, you market to them, because I have blocked every single person who has done that to me on Instagram. I hate it. Don't do that. Like if somebody likes your photo or sends you a message or reacts to your story, don't market to them, like send them your Etsy link. Just don't. But like connect to them as people, you know, because it's a social media platform. But use your stories for like behind the scenes photos or a little bit of your personal life. Just make it real. Not R-E-E-L, but R-E-A-L. And no matter if you post a story or a reel or a carousel of photos, always reply to all of your comments. That boosts your engagement, which then makes the algorithm send that post to more people, and you make a genuine connection with that viewer. Some don'ts I see on Instagram, so things you should not do on Instagram. Don't make a reel pointing to the text on the screen, because nobody watches those. My Reels feed on Instagram is ruined by small businesses who refuse to adapt to the changes on Instagram, and all they do is post reels, but it's like it's a sound or an audio that says photos are dead, so here's a reel of a photo. I will block you because you're only getting views and comments from other businesses who sympathize and not from your target customers. And don't make reels or content on any other platform that is intended for businesses unless that is your target customer, like you're selling something related to business owners, but that's not likely. Because if you post content that is going to get pushed to small businesses, they're not necessarily your target audience. Even though there might be a tiny bit of overlap. You might get a lot of views and engagement from those. Sure, but you are not going to get any sales, I can promise you that. And that is exactly why Type 9 Studio, my YouTube channel name here if you weren't aware, is not the same as my Etsy shop. So I do not post this kind of information on the social media accounts for my Etsy shop, my business, because it's not the same audience. As far as hashtags on Instagram, they are kind of dead as well. Just use a few really relevant ones. And I also will use my shop name as a hashtag on Instagram and on TikTok, because that helps the algorithm to connect your videos to each other and kind of like cross promote your content to other people who have already watched your other content. All right, now for Facebook. The best way currently to use Facebook, because again they change sometimes, is to create a group. You will need to have a business page in order to do this, and then you can share videos and like events and stuff to your Facebook page, but really your engagement is going to come from groups. A lot of smaller businesses do pretty well with a VIP Facebook group, and you can send out information on how to join the group with your orders or in your like Etsy announcement section or on your other social media. And there you can directly engage with your customers and they can talk to each other about the products or recommend things, or even talk about things just related to the niche. So like if you sell baby stuff, your customers are probably parents, so they're going to talk about parent things. And you can also share exclusive sales and promotions to your Facebook group, and you can advertise that as well. In addition to your own group, you can also join other people's groups, whether that's to network with fellow crafters or join buy and sell groups. So your area probably has some local buy and sell groups, or there are different ones related to different niches. Just kind of search around. Just be careful with what's on your personal Facebook account. If it's potentially unprofessional or has your private information that you really don't want a lot of people to see. Don't post private things on the internet in general, like where you live and pictures of your house and stuff, but just be careful. Twitter, in my opinion, should be a secondary platform. I don't know anybody who uses it as their primary platform. It's more difficult to grow on, but it is easier to directly communicate with your followers and your customers. I would use Twitter a bit more like Instagram stories, where it's going to be more personal-ish stuff, like relatable things. But one thing I see a lot of people doing with their business account on Twitter is complaining about their customers or about how their posts aren't performing on other platforms because, again, they refuse to adapt to the changes on said platform. And neither one of those are a good look. Currently, there is word on the grapevine that Twitter is going to be improving their videos and how that works and possibly monetizing them, but that could be a little while. Your best bet to grow on Twitter is going to be your followers and people who come across your posts retweeting them, because it doesn't work quite like other platforms as far as like the algorithm. Pinterest is another top choice for handmade businesses, and their video pins are really taking off. Like, you really can't scroll through Pinterest without getting at least one video in each swipe. And you can sometimes get away with recycling your videos from other platforms on Pinterest. You can also kind of sort of post a catalog of your products on Pinterest, but you need a lot more than that. So you could repin from other accounts that are in your niche or blog posts that would be relevant to your target audience. Pinterest is a bit different in that your photos are going to have to be high quality and in a long vertical format. So you cannot just go through your Etsy shop and post your listing photos to Pinterest, because that is not the right photo size for Pinterest. They will get squashed and not seen and not promoted, so don't do it. Just take some different photos that are vertical. And one important thing with Pinterest and sometimes Twitter as well, or anywhere you link to products, do not post a link to a specific product from Etsy to anywhere on the internet, really. If you create a listing and then that listing sells out, that link is going to break and it makes a brand new link when you renew that listing. And Pinterest pins are basically forever because people can repin them. So you could end up with thousands of repins and no traffic because that pin is going to a broken link. What you should do instead is link to the appropriate section of your Etsy shop. So you can get to your section links by going to your shop manager. In the bottom left-hand corner, you will click on your shop name so you can see it kind of as a customer would. Click on whatever section you want to link and then just copy the URL. In order to be seen on Pinterest, you have to post quite frequently. And there are apps to help as well as apps for posting on other platforms. But for Pinterest, I have used a website called Tailwind, which I am an affiliate for. I have my link in the description. But I would highly recommend it if you are getting serious about using Pinterest as your primary marketing tool. It is very time consuming to create new pins on Pinterest by yourself, and Tailwind just makes it easy to like repost pins on a schedule or plan out which ones you're going to do. They'll tell you the best times to do it. And you can create new pins on there as well. Out of all of the other platforms, SEO is going to be the most important on Pinterest because it is also a search engine. So make sure you're using your keywords in your pin title and your description. Oh, and I guess I should talk about TikTok. Billions of users, and I think we all hate it. I am very familiar with it. I went viral for my Etsy shop, or my business in general, last June. I did a whole video about how that went. If you're curious, I'll link it in the description. There's really only the option to post videos there, and they can currently be up to 3 minutes long. Same with Instagram Reels. Attention is key. Well, attention and retention. So you have to catch somebody's attention in the first like 1 or 2 seconds, and then keep them interested until the end. I'm giving away my secrets here. The videos on TikTok that do the best for me, as well as other people that I follow and have seen done very well, is maybe you'll take a video of you doing something. So like you're not like this face talking on camera, but like a video or a time lapse or sped up footage or something of you like making your products or doing something with them, like packaging them, and then do a voiceover that may or may not be related to the actual product, but resonates with your target audience. So whenever I started doing TikTok, and even recently I've tried to be lazy and do this as well, but if you're just like showing your products and talking about them, nobody cares. And again, don't market to other businesses unless that's your target audience. I see y'all out there saying, I went viral, but I didn't get any views to my Etsy shop. What's going on? Well, your video went viral because you were complaining about a customer under the hashtag small business problems, and all the small business owners found it instead of your target audience. So if you have not used TikTok before, it is the most user-friendly in terms of creating content within the platform. I always record my videos in TikTok and recycle them elsewhere like Instagram, because the Instagram Reels creator thing is absolutely terrible. It never works. It crashes, or it doesn't do the video right, like it doesn't do what I put on the thing and it doesn't show us in the preview. So I always use them in TikTok and then use an app to download it without the watermark. But the good thing about TikTok is that it is so massive, there are so many people, that you are almost assured to find your target audience somewhere on TikTok, and TikTok knows what they like. So if you do your videos right, your target audience will see them. YouTube does not get talked about much in this space, although clearly you're all here anyways. So many successful businesses are able to essentially become influencers or vloggers, which then becomes another stream of revenue. Because people want to connect with humans, and vlog style videos are here to stay basically, because people are interested in other people's lives and like what they do every day. So you can just post vlogs of you doing things, especially if you would be someone in your target audience, which I am, although I don't do YouTube for my shop specifically. But if I did, I am part of my own target audience, so I just make things I'm interested in, and my target audience is probably interested in them too. And of course, you don't have to make it like a QVC where you're selling your products all the time. That's what you should not do, actually. But have your Etsy shop linked in the description, or just every now and then in your video, like at the end or something, you can shout out your Etsy shop and advertise it that way, kind of like sponsor yourself. And the attention and retention thing applies here as well with long videos and YouTube shorts. For years and years on YouTube, up until fairly recently with the introduction of YouTube shorts, your subscriber number used to matter a lot, but now it doesn't really. So the playing field for new videos is a bit more equal now, because you used to kind of have to have a large audience in order to get a lot of views, but now that's not really the case. You can go viral on YouTube with like 5 subscribers. But if you go viral and then you still have 5 subscribers after that, there's a problem. In order for your videos to be shown to more people with the algorithm on YouTube and basically everywhere else, like I've been saying, your viewer just has to watch the whole thing all the way through. So if you make it short, or make it interesting all the way up until the end, or make it loop to where they don't really notice that it's ended already, then that is a good way to get there, although not guaranteed. There is no way specifically to go viral on any platform. It just happens sometimes. But unlike TikTok and Instagram, your videos on YouTube are more likely to be what's referred to as evergreen, which means they will keep getting views and ad revenue for years and years to come. That's if they remain relevant, obviously. My best videos that I earn the most money on consistently are actually from over a year ago. But you do have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to be monetized on YouTube, which can seem difficult to reach, but it is absolutely not impossible. And just with any other platform or anything else you do, really, just put something out there and then use that as a learning experience to make the next thing even better. If you're just starting out and you made it to the end of this video somehow and you feel a little sick after listening to all that, sorry. I know it's a lot, but I do like to be thorough. I would suggest to just pick one and start there. You can put your link on Etsy in your shop announcement, and you can also put a clickable link in your shop story page. Like if you scroll all the way down, how do you get to this? I forgot. You go to the bottom left-hand corner of your shop manager, and next to your shop name there's a little pencil. Click on that, and then you scroll all the way down to like your about section and all that stuff, which I will explain in a later video. But you can put a link to certain social media websites on there, as well as another site like if you have a Shopify or other selling platform. Even if you haven't opened your Etsy shop yet, go ahead and start posting on whichever accounts you choose. That'll give you some practice to see what works, or get used to being on camera if you haven't done that before. And you'll get those awkward first few posts out of the way pretty quickly. And something else that I forgot to mention that is I almost want to say it makes me angry, but it is a pet peeve, okay? When you post on social media for your business, I'm trying to be nice. When you post on social media for your business, or you are writing things about your business on your Etsy page, don't beg people to buy things from you. I see this all the time, and one thing that I have noticed is that people who say this have very small shops and they wonder why they stay small. But you know who doesn't say this? People with big shops. Because you don't want a pity sale. You may think a sale is a sale. Nope, sure isn't. So what do I mean by begging people for sales or begging people to buy from you? I mean things like, every sale counts. Thank you for supporting my small business. I need to make 3 orders today or I can't pay my bills. Will you buy something from my Etsy shop or retweet this if you can't buy something today? My next customer could be on your timeline. So yeah, don't do that because I will block you for that also. Okay, getting serious again, even though I was serious about that last part. The main things to take away from today are that it takes time to build a good social media following. Like, for instance, my business, I have been full-time on Etsy for almost 3 years, and I don't even have 2,000 followers on Instagram. But follower count and view count doesn't matter. What matters is that you make connections with people who could potentially be your future customers, because people are tired of the advertisements and the brands using social media. They want to engage with a person. And I think that's going to get more and more the case as time goes on. Going to get more and more the case. That's going to be more true as time goes on. It's late at night. And the most cliche, overused advice in the history of the universe is just be yourself. Don't be afraid to show mistakes or, you know, show that you're a human and not a robot, unless you are a robot. So that is my 2 cents, or like 200 cents for the day. I will see you next time for episode 6.